Get certain that you can handle anything like this in the future. Get certain. Not only can you deal with the emotion you have right now, but what you should do is use this as an opportunity to be certain for yourself. Get yourself certain, if it ever happens in the future, I'll handle this emotion quicker and easier. Get certain that you can handle anything like this in the future by rehearsing yourself dealing with it in the future. In other words, think of a time in the future where this depression could have come up and see yourself, feel yourself rehearsing again. Use this as a tool of empowerment. All right, so let's get to it this morning. First of all, if you don't have a notebook, raise your hand. If you don't have something to write on, great. Find a human nearby, because today what we're going to share with you is probably worth writing down. So you want to definitely capture it. Years ago, I met a very, very successful man. He taught me something I never forgot for the rest of my life. He said, Tony, whatever you do in your life, whenever you find you're going to go someplace where there are some great ideas and great resources, he said, always make sure you take a pen and paper. He said, because what you want to do is you want to be able to capture those ideas and cement them to paper so you can review them in the future. In fact, what he got me to do was to keep a journal, and I would highly encourage you, by the time you come to the next management session, or maybe even during a break today if you wanted to get yourself a hardbound journal. Hardbound journal meaning not a loose leaf. And you can get those in all kinds of stationery stores, some religious bookstores. The bottom line is, if you keep a journal, you don't even write it every day, but when you get thoughts or ideas, you capture it there, you can't believe what'll happen. You'll start to accumulate a wealth of knowledge and ability and skills and resources that not only will help you, but you can help other people as well. I've been keeping journals myself now for about a dozen years. And I go back and review my life, and it has two real values, I think. One is, it gives you a chance to really see how much you've grown. Because how many of you have kids? I'm curious. How many of you have somebody come up and say, boy, your kid's really growing? You go, really? Because you're so close to them, you don't notice it as much. How many found that to be true? Guess what? It's even worse with yourself. Sometimes we don't give ourselves credit for the amount that we're growing, but I'll tell you one thing, if you keep a journal, it won't be hard to see how much you're growing. Because you'll see the kind of goals you had back then, the kind of things you thought back in those days, and you'll begin to see the evolution of your growth. Also, I personally believe that if life's worth living, it's worth recording. And it's an incredible gift to give to your children, because someday they get to know exactly how you were at different times in your life, and they get to learn your lessons without having to go through it. So I highly encourage you to do that, but as a very minimum, let's make sure we take notes. You guys ready to crank? Thanks, let's do it. So this whole weekend is about connecting and communication. Really, it's about communication and relationship, how to make everything more worthwhile. And the technology that we're going to share with you this weekend has a unique name. We call it reality bridging. Reality bridging. I'm going to make you go into a deep trance trying to figure out what that means, right? We're going to clarify it for you. But reality bridging, it's the technology of vital communication and true freedom. Because what you're going to find is, you're going to find there's going to be a vitality in your communication when you start using the techniques we're going to teach you. And there's going to be a sense of absolute freedom where you can share with somebody what your real feelings are and never ever offend them. They won't have to hear you and cry and feel bad. And you won't feel so bad either. We want to make sure that communication is vital, that you're always connecting, that you feel good when you're communicating, so does the person you're communicating with, and it produces results. That's our outcome. And to be able to do that without having to worry creates an unbelievable level of freedom for people. Because how many of you, be honest, have felt feelings at times and you were upset, but you didn't share it because you didn't know how, or you didn't share it because, well, you thought, well, maybe it's really about me, or you didn't share it because you didn't want to offend somebody even though you were mad or upset. How many have had that experience in the past? And when you don't share something, what happens when you just keep it inside and build it up? Yeah, it festers. Does it get better or worse? It gets a lot worse, and eventually what happens, then you blow up about something that could have been handled so much easier along the way. But then there's the other approach, which is you're looking for things on a regular basis to be able to give people feedback about. And some people develop that habit, or you communicate in a way where basically you're communicating your feelings, like you're upset, but do you always have all the information? No. And so you're making a decision about how to feel based on false information. How many of you have ever gotten upset and later on felt a little dumb because you found out you were upset about something really shouldn't have been upset about? So one philosophy says, keep it inside. The other philosophy says, well, get it out. Well, what if you get it out and then you find out you were wrong? By the way, do we like being wrong? No. So then what would we probably do? Justify, defend? Well, that's, well, yeah, I didn't know that, but if you've done that before, right? And that does not make a relationship work. Plus, that person gets upset. It's kind of like, anybody ever come up to you and say, why are you upset? And you go, I'm not upset. You go, no, yeah, you are. You go, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. Well, I'm getting upset. Okay, that also happens unless we're really clear. So what we're really going to do is we're going to start our whole basis of studying of communication to remember one thing, and write this in your notes if you would, and that is the quality of your life is directly related to the quality of your communication. The quality of your life is the quality of your communication, period. Quality of your life is the quality of your communication. Now, pretty basic idea, nothing earth-shattering, but I'm here to tell you that's your entire life comes down to this. The quality of your entire life comes down to the quality of how you communicate. With whom? No. With whom first do you think determines how you... That's right. The quality of your life starts with the quality of how you communicate to yourself. That's where it all starts. How you feel is not based on the environment. Is it based, like how you feel, is that determined based on like whether or not you have lots of money? Yes or no? I got a little mixed reaction on that one. They go, well, no, it's not. No, absolutely not. No. How's that for incongruent communication from a lot of you, right? Okay, some of you have a little mixed feelings about this, don't you? Let me ask you a question. How many of you know somebody who has tons of money and is still not happy? Ah, interesting. How many of you know somebody who doesn't have any money at all but seems to be very happy? So does money determine your happiness, yes or no? How many know if you had lots of money, though, you'd be happy, you're different? Okay. If I had your money, I'd be happy, no problem. Give me your money and we'll try, okay? People say money can't buy happiness, don't know where to shop. No, see, that's not gonna do it, is it? It's not the money, it's how you communicate yourself about money, your lack of it, or the abundance you think you have. By the way, can people have an abundance but communicate to themselves that they're still in scarcity, yes or no? Absolutely. So money doesn't do it. Is how you feel determined by whether or not the weather is good? Yes. Oh, really? Are there people in freezing weather who are very happy, yes or no? Are there people in hot weather that are very happy, yes or no? Are there people that are in either one of those weathers in the opposite degree that have opposite feelings? Has that transferred you out yet? Yes. See, the weather doesn't determine it. Is it, whether you're happy or not, determined by whether or not other people say they love you? You go, yes, but it shouldn't. So you sit there and should all over yourself, huh? Okay. Okay. You're right, it probably shouldn't, but a lot of us connect that real directly. But I got a question for you. Somebody comes up to you and they tell you, I love you. Or they come up and they hug you, or they look at you that certain special way. Or they kiss you passionately, and you have these feelings inside. Begin to come to attention, gentlemen. Now, when all that stuff happens, my question for you is, wait, what made all that happen? Was it really the kiss that did it? Oh, yes, sir. No, I don't think so. If that's true, kissing your dog would get you excited. It wasn't a kiss. It was the meaning you associated to that particular moment when tissue touched tissue in that unique way. That's really it, isn't it? It isn't actually... Yes! It isn't actually the event itself, is it? It is rather what we communicated to ourselves about that event. Somebody hugs you and you feel good. Do they make you feel good, yes or no? No, what makes you feel good is you've got a set of rules inside your head that say, if somebody touches me quite like this, they look like that, sound, smell, feel like this, then I get to say, ooh. Okay. And so you say, okay, it's time to feel good, and your brain goes, and you start feeling good, right? So the bottom line is we determine how we feel by the way we communicate to ourselves, by the meaning that we communicate about a situation. See, it's not the event that determines how we feel. It's the meaning that we associate to the event that determines how we feel. And that meaning is something we create and we communicate to ourselves. If you're upset about anything, all upsets come down to the meaning you associate to something. You're upset about something, it's because you're thinking, well, that's because this means they don't care about me, or this means I'm no longer in control, or this means I'm not respected, or this means. All upset is based on a meaning. And how many times have you been wrong when you linked up the meaning? Anybody been wrong, yes or no? Yes, this means yes, I'll guide you through this, okay? We've all been wrong. So what we've got to really be able to do is to realize one thing, and write it in your notes. Nothing in life has any meaning except the meaning that I give it. Nothing in life has any meaning except the meaning that I give it. Nothing in life has any meaning except the meaning that I give it. You're the one that puts the label on what things mean. And the last time you were with me, I gave you a phrase when we talked about transformational vocabulary. If you recall, transformational vocabulary is the idea that we get all these pictures and sounds and feelings and sensations start to come in our body, but we don't know what it means till we put a label on it. So you get all these things and they feel uncomfortable, they feel kind of painful, and you call that humiliation. Will that intensify the feeling more than if you say, you know, I'm a little frustrated? Yes or no? You better believe it. The label we put on our experience becomes our experience. And we are the person doing the labeling. Now, granted, I'll agree that most of us are on automatic pilot. We're using a labeling and a communication process that we don't even think about consciously. And we can easily point to other people and show how they created that feeling for us. And certainly they helped us to get into state. They helped us by giving us some feedback, but we still determine the feeling. I'll give you an example. I was in Hawaii recently. I couldn't believe it. I read this article, and then I saw the thing on TV where they interviewed this guy. He was out swimming, and the shark came and bit his leg off. Yeah. You'd think he'd be fairly upset. Why would you be upset if you lost your leg? After the initial pain, why would you stay upset? Because of the meaning you'd link to that, right? What would be the meaning that would make you feel upset all the time? That's right, the meaning of loss, that you had lost something. See, almost all pain you're ever going to feel in your life, the pain that people have that makes them upset, it all starts with, I call it emotional anatomy. It all starts in one place. Pain starts with, number one, I'll put it down at the bottom here, a feeling of loss. A feeling of loss. Now, can you ever really lose anything? Only if you perceive that there's a loss. Is that true? Are you following me on this now for a second? You can only feel loss if you perceive it. In other words, you have to tell yourself there's a loss. You have to communicate that you've lost something. This man was not upset. In fact, he was concerned about the shark. Yeah, you say, this guy's on drugs. No, he was sincere. Because his belief was that, number one, he was responsible, not the shark, because he was a swimmer and he knew that in the area he was, there were sharks, and if he's thrashing around on the top, they think it's a turtle, they'll come after him. But his concern was that people were so upset about it that people were going to go out and rage and kill the sharks in that area. How's that for sorting by others instead of sorting by self? So the meaning for him was, this was a learning experience. That's what it meant to him. For other people, it would mean, I'm maimed for life. With a different meaning that he communicated. If he would have said, I'm maimed for life, I'll never be the same. You know, I can never accomplish anything. A woman will never be attracted to me. I'll be a gimp for the rest of my life. If he would have linked those meanings, do you think he would have been in the same state, yes or no? No way. By the way, maybe this is temporary, right? I don't know. I don't know this guy. I'm not going to be around a long time to meet him. But I can tell you for years what I've done is interview people who are absolutely what I think are spiritual masters. What I mean by spiritual masters is not flying to the east and meeting somebody who sits and meditates. I mean somebody who doesn't have the use of their legs or their arms and lives in absolute joy and is totally loving and tries to figure out how to contribute to other people. To me, that's a spiritual master. And I'll tell you what, there's tons of them. And they're my friends now because I go to learn from them. You know what I find out? they have developed belief systems that have helped them to interpret human behavior in a way that causes them not to be upset. Because no matter what happens, they finally figured out something. If you want to succeed in life, figure out how it works, and then do it that way, not the way you think it should be. See, what most of us do is we run around in life with all these rules about how life should be, about how you should be, about he should be, how doctors should be, how staff should be, how patients should be. But you know how they're going to be? How they really are. Not how you want them to be. And then every time they don't meet your criteria, rah, you communicate to yourself, it's time to be annoyed. Or maybe a more intense word. Is that true? When you have an upset of any sort, you're feeling some negative emotion, it always comes down to really you have a feeling of what? Loss. But do you ever really lose? No, you don't ever lose anything. It just changes form. Hey, nothing in the entire universe ever disappears. Nothing. Not your physical body, not rocks, not stones, nothing. Everything in the universe transforms from one form to another. You take water, and you try and destroy it, let's say you boil it, what does it become? Steam. Everything in the world transforms to a higher level. It's always transforming. You got to realize you can't lose anything. You can transform things, but you can't lose anything. Now you can try and pretend you've lost something. You can be upset with somebody and then go, oh my God, I've lost their love, or they've lost mine, or I've lost respect. How do you lose respect? You can't lose something that's already inside of you. See, the problem is people are, looking for love in all the wrong places. Love is not something you have to go looking for when it's where you come from. A friend of mine said that, Michael Hadley. I thought, wow, what a great thing to remember. Love is not something you have to go looking for when it's where you come from. So you can't lose something. Everything you thought you'd lose is already inside of you. See, if you won't feel respect, it's because you aren't choosing to focus on being respected. You're not communicating to yourself you should be respected. What if I said something to you? I said it in a way that made you feel disrespected. It made you feel disrespected, or you took what I said, managed to interpret it, represent to yourself, and communicate to yourself that my saying it in that tone of voice means I don't respect you, therefore you can't have these feelings. Does that make any sense? No. Do we do it all the time? Yes. Do we want to continue to do it? No. Okay? We want to change that. You can't ever lose anything. Now you can perceive you've lost something. And by the way, do some people who've not lost a limb, not lost their eyesight, not lost anything, feel like they've lost over little stupid things? Yes or no? Some people feel lost about something they never even had in the first place. Like they had this goal and it didn't happen. And then they go, shit, I lost my goal. You never had it. Or they have this expectation. Most upsets are about expectations that aren't met. Isn't that true? You expect somebody to do something. You expected yourself to do something. You expected life to do something. You expected the weather to be a certain way, and it didn't happen. You go, oh, I lost out. How could you lose out on something you never had? You must have been very confused. So you can't lose. But if you want to feel bad, what you have to do is have the illusion of loss. Create the illusion of loss. That's all you have to do to feel bad. So I'll guide you on how to feel bad. Step one, feel bad. Create the illusion of loss. I want you to make sure you take notes. The next time you want to feel bad, you know what to do. Okay? Now, after the illusion of loss, what that usually does is that creates the second major emotion in the anatomy of human emotion, and that is feeling of hurt. Feel hurt. And usually what happens is people don't notice the loss thing, they notice they feel hurt. If they're sensitive. Because this stuff happens pretty fast, doesn't it? Like we've forgotten it's loss. All we know is we feel hurt. Anytime somebody feels hurt, what it really is, they have a sense of loss about something. They lost out on their expectation, they lost out on what they thought they had, they think they've lost out on something else, they think they're missing out, they think something has changed, they think they're losing something, and they feel bad, they feel hurt. How many have felt hurt in a personal relationship? Great. Tell me, raise your hand and tell me, what did you feel hurt about? Give me an example. Yes, sir. You felt hurt about dishonesty, meaning you felt this person had been dishonest with you. Now, are we absolutely certain that this person was dishonest, that he felt that was dishonest? Yes or no? Is it possible this person was not dishonest, but rather he interpreted their behavior as dishonest? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. I had a conversation with my mom not long ago. I couldn't even believe it. She was like all hurt. She said, I'm really, and she went to the next level. I might as well tell you what it is. Most people, by the way, don't stay in hurt. They manage to immediately amp up into anger. Is that true? That's right, and that's the third emotion. So if you're angry, what you really are is what? Hurt, which means you really just have a sense of what? That's really it. So my mom was upset. I was like, what are you upset with me about? I mean, what did I do? She goes, well, she does flowers for seminars. And she asked me if I would contact this hotel and have the hotel like use her services. And I said, I'd be willing to, but I don't think they do that. I mean, they never do it for us. Well, she talked to somebody else, and that somebody else told her that the hotel does it all the time, and they contract with somebody else, so your son must not really care about you. Now, she was also in a very stressful state. Does the state we're in and just our normal life affect the way we interpret meaning? Yeah, she was stressed about a bunch of other things. So while she's in a stressful state, somebody said this to her, and she went, oh, my son, he just thinks I'm a pain in the butt. He just wants to get rid of me. He must be ashamed of my work. He must not like my flowers. She created all this wonderful stuff. Can we create all kinds of shit in our head? How many are good at creating shit in your head? Okay, all right, good. I am too, we all are. I'm not picking on my mom, trust me. Oh boy, it's on video, now I'm really in deep shit. She taught me everything I know. She did teach me a good deal of what I know. Gave me a great foundation for my life. Point is, though, seriously, is she's all upset. And she thought that I had lied to her. Now, first of all, when she said I had lied to her, what do you think happened to me? Like, me, honesty is one of my highest values. I'm probably too honest. I tell people everything. Right? What? Right? The fact that she questioned my honesty. How many of you, somebody questioned your honesty and you know you're honest? I mean, that really upsets you. What do you think I got when she said that? Angry. How could you say that? And plus, I just did all these things for you. And I started remembering all the stuff I was doing for her, and I said, I have never lied to you in my life. Well, maybe when I was a little kid, but not since then. I said, what are you talking? I can't even believe that. Why was I angry? Because I felt what by her statement? And I felt hurt because I had a sense of what? Loss. And my loss was, how could we lose that connection of knowing who each other are? When my own mom. I mean, do anything for her. I just got done doing this unique thing for her that, I mean, blew her out of her shorts. She didn't ever expect it. Right? Blew her out of her shorts. Interesting picture. And so, you know, what happened though is I realized that if I responded to her in a state of anger, will that probably work? No, it didn't work. So I realized I needed to change my state. And I asked myself a question that helped me a lot. The question I ask is, what's probably going on with her that makes her treat me this way, or treat people this way, or respond this way? Instead of, how dare she? Why? How can she treat me this way after I've done so much for her? Which would do what? Make you more what? Upset. Different question I asked her, I wonder what's going on with her that's making her respond this way? I wonder what she's stressed about. And I asked her, and she told me, she apologized, and just dropped right away. I'm here to tell you a belief I want you to remember for the rest of your life, that if all you do is remember this out of the whole weekend and really remember it at the right times, it'll change the way you communicate with other human beings. And the belief is this, that in any communication with another human being where you get a response from someone, in any communication with another human being and you get a response from someone, that response is either a loving response or a cry for help. In any communication that you have with another human being, where they give you some kind of response, they respond to you in some way, and that communication is either a loving response or a cry for help. That's it. Those are the only two kinds of responses. So one more time. In any communication with another human being, and they respond to you, they communicate to you, they react to you, they respond to you, that reaction, that response, I don't care what it looks like on the outside or what it seems like, it's either a loving response or a cry for help. Which one do you think my mom was doing in this situation? Was that a loving response or a cry for help? It was a cry for help, and help is saying, I'm feeling what? Hurt because I have a sense of what? It may not be true, but that's what I feel. And that person's a cry for help. Now, how do most people respond to a cry for help? With another cry for help. Is that true? How did I first start to respond to my mom? She's angry with me. She doesn't have a right to be angry. How could she do this to me? What's going on? I get angry back. So I respond with a cry for help. How dare you? How can you say this to me? Don't pull this crap on me. Look what I do for you. What kind of crap is this? Interesting. So when two people are yelling at each other, crying for help back and forth, who gets helped? Nobody. So you know what happens? The anger doesn't stop. What happens is the anger goes one place. Either it starts going out to other people and becomes resentment, which builds. And that resentment may be expressed or not expressed. Usually resentment is expressed non-verbally to other people, and some people do it by taking their resentment and they express it by what they call confrontation, and they actually feel good about it. They say, I'm not one of those people who keeps it inside. I confront people, little bastards. That'll really build a quality communication, won't it? I confront, I don't keep it inside. I'll tell you what's wrong. Yesterday, when you did this and this and this, made me feel this way. I request in the future you change. Everybody try this. You know what? That doesn't work. It can work. Anything can work. The tone of voice you use is going to play a bigger role than what you say. How many would agree? Your facial expression is going to play a bigger role than what you say. How many agree? And somebody else can sit there and listen to you and say, yes, I'll abide by your request, but inside they're going, okay, that's not communication. That's not quality communication. We want to change and enhance our format. The other thing we can do is when we feel anger, instead of resenting and confronting, we can just keep it inside. If we keep it inside, usually what it becomes is depression. People are depressed, they don't even know why. The reason people are depressed, they feel like they're not in control. Like things are happening they're not in control of. They're not able to communicate and get control of their life. And a lot of times depression is directly related to the fact they've kept this anger inside and these upsets, and they haven't expressed them, they become depressed. How many can relate to this? Not you, but other people you've seen in real life. I thought so. So the bottom line is, what we've got to do when somebody responds to us with a cry for help is give them what kind of a response? Which of the two responses should we give somebody when they give us a cry for help? A loving response. Is that always easy to do? No. What it requires is you to remember that no matter what it looks like, they're just really crying for help. Somebody's angry. How dare you do this to me? You go, how dare you do this to me? You guys are crying at each other. How dare you do this to me? You should go, you should picture that. How dare you do this to me? You son of a, why do you always, and you come back and go, I hear you. I appreciate you. I love you. That's not my intent. How can we make this work? I'm willing to make it work. Thanks for sharing your real feelings with me. Let's do it. What do we need to do to make it work? How can we make you feel better? Because I'm committed to that. Well, you're there. I know. How can I make you feel better? How can I make you feel better? How can I make you feel better? Because I love you. How can I make you feel better? I'm willing to do it. What is it going to take? How can I feel it? What will it take? Let's do it right now. Get the idea? You don't want to respond to a cry for help by crying yourself. You want to be bigger. And the way you get bigger is you remember this. You remember it, you use it, you make it work. This will change your life. That one belief, if you also execute it. And you know what you're going to learn today? You're going to learn some skills today that are so easy and so simple that all you got to do is commit to making them a habit so you don't have to think about it anymore. Your life will change forever. Your personal life, the way you communicate to yourself, your practice, your team, and most of you are already so bonded, you're incredible. But is there always a deeper level that we could pursue, yes or no? There's always a deeper connection. And if it's possible, should we pursue it? Yeah, why not have more ecstasy? Why not be closer? Why not be more loving? Why not be more connected? Why not do more? Why not create more? Why not make it happen? Why not? Why not us? Why not now? That's what we're going to do today. So get the feeling for what it is. It all comes down to meaning. We change the meaning, we change it all. give you an example too. It's on my first book tour. This woman calls me up on the phone, right, on the radio, and I love doing the radio responses. I love like real fast, help people. So this woman calls up and she goes, Mr. Robbins, she goes, I've tried everything. I am so upset. I'm depressed all the time. I've been depressed now for 7 years. I said, gosh, how have you accomplished that? She goes, what? I said, how have you accomplished that? I mean, that's pretty amazing. I said, are you depressed even when you sleep? She goes, when I sleep? What I'm doing is breaking her what? Remember? Pattern, interrupting her pattern. That's all you got to do. If you respond to people and go, oh man, I'm sorry you feel that way, and that's not enough. Sometimes you got to interrupt the pattern, tease them, and be loving, but tease them. Because if you just go, oh, it's okay, they're getting a lot of feedback. They're being rewarded for feeling bad. Is that true? So you got to be careful. You got to be loving, but you got to be fun and loving. So that would be my response. A loving, fun-loving response. An outrageously fun-loving response. That'll break their pattern. Do something they don't expect. So I said, well, what's the challenge? You go, well, it's because my boyfriend left me 7 years ago. He left me. He took my whole life. I said, he took your whole life? He goes, yeah, I gave him everything. I said, everything? You kept your voice, I hear. So, well, you know, he gave me everything. My whole life's run forever. Why is she in pain? That's right. She feels tremendous depression, actually, because she's been angry, because she really felt what? Hurt. Because she has a sense of what? Are there people who end a relationship and don't feel a sense of loss? Yes or no? Yes, because you have to tell yourself it's a loss. You have to communicate it's a loss. How many found that in the past what you thought was a loss was actually your gain? But when you thought it was a loss, how did you feel? Hurt. And it may not have been a loss of them, it was a loss of your own self-esteem. Well, they left me, and they must not have loved me. I wasn't good enough. You know, I'm not good enough. The loss of your own self-esteem, but you do that to yourself too. It's just not true. It's the meaning you made up in your head. We're making all this crap up in our head, and it's not true. You got to be careful about the meaning you label things. You got to take control of that process. So someone's going, well, he left me. That's why my whole life is over. The reason she's upset, the reason she's this angry, is not that she feels a loss, but she's labeled that loss. Because of that, my whole life is over. How would you feel if your whole life was over? A bit depressed? You better believe it. So I said, look, bottom line is, ma'am, you got to change your state. The state you're in right now, you're going to keep thinking your life's over. You got to change your state. She goes, yeah, well, I've tried. I said, what have you done? She goes, well, I've taken drugs. I said, well, you know, what else have you done? I've seen my therapist for years now. I've done this. I said, you know, stop. I started yelling on the phone on the radio, right? I can imagine her face going, what, is he crazy? What's going on? I said, you listen to me right now. You want to change this? You do exactly what I say. When I say now, you put the phone down and you run outside and you just yell 2 words at the top of your lungs over and over again. Next, next, next. As you think about your old boyfriend. And at first she was like in a deep trance with no reaction, right? And all of a sudden I just heard this chuckling. She's laughing hysterically. Right? She starts to laugh. I said, just yell next. Go out there and look around, see men, and go next. As soon as she started laughing, I said, think about your old boyfriend. She starts laughing. Think of your old boyfriend. She's laughing. Think of your old boyfriend. Laughing. Think about your old boyfriend. Pretty soon when she thought of her old boyfriend, guess what she began to do? Laugh. Now, am I belittling the relationship? No, but do you think if she laughs when she thinks about it, she'll be able to deal with it better than if she cries? You better believe it. See, our state affects a lot of the meaning we link to things. When we're stressed, well, we can make out the worst situation out of virtually anything, can't we? See, you got to remember, you're the producer of this play. You're the one writing the script of this movie. Now, some of you, though, have like one style of writing called drama. Maybe you ought to try writing a comedy instead. It might be more enjoyable. Some of you have written a love story. My congratulations to you. Some of you have written an adventure story. Some of you have got one garbled story that doesn't seem to make any sense. Maybe it's time you cleaned up the script. Which doesn't mean go back and rewrite it all. It means tear up the old one. Do you have to go back and rewrite the whole script in order to make it work? Yes or no? Now what you can do is set it aside and move on from here. What a concept. Decide, what do I want now? What happened to my past doesn't mean diddly. What matters is where I'm going. If you're trying to drive in the future using the rear view mirror as your guidance tool, you're going to crash. Plus, you know what? Your future is going to look like your past. Pretty scary. Maybe I just let go of the past, tear up that script. You don't have to keep playing that same play. Write a new one now. Don't tell me, yeah, but look at the script I've been using all my life. Who gives a shit? Put it in the circular file and write a new one. You know, be spontaneous. Maybe you want to write some of it along the way. Maybe you don't have to have the whole thing planned out, every detail, know exactly what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. And then you won't be so upset when it doesn't go the way you wrote the first version of the script. Called your expectations in your head. Maybe then you'll go, well, this script is kind of a guideline. It isn't like my absolute must or I'm going to be peeved. Maybe that would help things a lot. See, the whole key is the quality of life is the quality of communication. Number one, with yourself. Because nothing has any meaning except the meaning you give it. And the meaning you give it is going to determine how you feel. How you feel is going to determine what you do, and what you do is going to shape your destiny. See, if I interpret this means this person doesn't love me, and now all of a sudden I'm going to feel lousy about it, and I'm going to do things either verbally or non-verbally to get back maybe. Or, at the very worst, I'll withhold my emotions because I don't want to be hurt again. And does that withholding make my relationship better, yes or no? No, and now all of a sudden we start to drift apart. And now I start doing things that will change my destiny and separate me from somebody I really love and somebody who really loves me, all because I made up a bunch of crap in my head. Nothing has any meaning except the meaning you give it, bottom line. And so if we want to change our lives, we really want to make things work, make sure I remember this, write it in your note. It's not the event, it's what we do with it that determines the quality of your life. It's not the event, it's what you do with it that determines the quality of your life. And what we do with it is what we do with it inside of our head. It's not the event, it's what we do with the event that determines the quality of our life. What do we do with it inside of our head? We can take things that destroy other people and cause them to make us better. This whole seminar today you're going to go through is a result of me having an event that was not pleasurable last night. Especially since I was exhausted, I had no sleep. That also amplified my feelings about the situation. And then what happened was I asked myself a question. How can I use this? What's great about this? I was not feeling it was great. How can I use this? What's great about this? My brain started saying what's great about this is it means what we tried to do before this wasn't making sense. We almost had it, but it wasn't quite there. So what's great about this, I found that out because I want to share with you the best. What's great about it is I can use this intense emotion to see what really will work in the most intense feelings I've got. Wow, what a great deal. See, it's not the event, it's what you do with it. And remember, the meaning you associate or assign to something, the meaning you associate, right, put in parentheses, or assign to something, determines how you feel and what you do. So the meaning you associate or that you assign to something determines how you feel and what you do throughout your life. Determines how you feel and what you do throughout your life. Bless you. The problem is, are you communicating to yourself in a way that's empowering or disempowering? And what would you say a good deal of time it is, probably, if you're not totally happy? Disempowering. So the problem is not the event. The problem is the meaning that you're associating to things that's affecting your actions throughout your whole life, determining your destiny, is probably disempowering a good deal of the time. If you're not happy. If you're happy, you're probably assigning a lot of empowering meanings, aren't you? You've come up with some core beliefs and ways of looking at the world that really help you. Help you to evaluate things in a way where you're really in charge, or you're not in reaction. So if we want to really take control, then we got to remember what I've already said. Nothing in life has any meaning except the meaning that we give it. So for example, the doctor raises his voice, says, please give me this. Or maybe he doesn't say please, he says, get me this. He doesn't say the word please. What does that mean? Scumbag doctor, that's what it means. It means he doesn't respect you, right? It means he doesn't care about you, right? Isn't that what it means? If you're upset, that's what the meaning you've attached to it is. How many would agree? What else could it mean? He's angry. If he's angry, or he's stressed, or he's frustrated, does that give him a right to snap at you, yes or no? No way. We're not making him right. We just want to know what it really means first. Does that make sense? How many of you have ever screwed up? Can I see a show of hands? How many of you have ever snapped at somebody and had nothing to do with them? It was just your state. You were so stressed about something else. How many have done this even with people you totally love, like your children? Everybody together, ready? I'll try it again. Very nice. Just think about that. Now, when the doctor does that, instead of going, he has no right to do that, you're right, he has no right to do it. You're absolutely right. And you need to help him so he doesn't do that anymore. You need to help him, not make him wrong. If you make him wrong, is that going to enroll him in not doing this again, yes or no? Doctor, when all of a sudden you keep asking your staff and they don't deliver something you need, does that mean they're incompetent? Mean they don't care? Mean they're not as committed as you? You're working to the bone, you don't have any time? You're not even getting paid, they're getting paid, they must not care about you. Is that what it means? No. What might it mean? They're overloaded, they're overworked. You beat them to a pulp. They don't want to talk to you because you've been real mean and hard to be around. They're trying to avoid you and stay out of your way because they're afraid they're going to set you off. Oh. I noticed that was a doctor that was laughing. Huh, ma'am? Is that possible? But see, which meaning you assign will determine how you feel and how you treat people. Isn't that true? And it doesn't just stop there. It continues. Because the truth is, most of you don't communicate all that you feel, and it's a good thing. Because words spoken in a moment of anger, some words like that are never forgotten. Now, that's not true. You can forget them, but people think, I'll never forget that. They keep telling them, I'll never forget that, I'll never forget that, I'll never, never. I will not forget that. They work real hard to remember it. But how many of you have forgotten your own home telephone number, address, or how to spell the word the? So you can forget, can't you? Yes. Actually, forgetting is a very useful tool. I may want to teach you before the weekend's up the power of forgetting. Not forgiving, forgetting. Ready? Is it sometimes useful to forget? Especially if what you're forgetting is only your perception. Especially since your memories are nothing but myths anyway. Because if you ask my mother, I bet she'd have a different story. True? That's right. See, the bottom line in life then is we've got to make sure that we assign a meaning that empowers and doesn't disempower. By the way, we don't really know for sure what the meaning is unless we ask. By the way, do we always have to ask? No. Sometimes we can hallucinate that people are coming from the best place. How often would it be useful to hallucinate that people are really coming from positive intention? Yes. See, if you question my behavior, I can probably deal with that. But if you question my intention, that is going to really hurt me. Because I'm going to go, don't we have a relationship? Don't you know who I am? But that's probably not how I'm going to respond. I'll probably respond with a cry for help by being pissed off that you could ever question my integrity or my intent or whether I care about you. I mean, how can you do that after all I've done for you? And then people start justifying and noticing all the things they've done for you. Then they get really even more mad, amped out. Is that true? Okay. So what we've got to really do is we've got to say, okay, I don't know what the meaning is. I'm not sure what the meaning is. But I'm sure that the intent is positive. The person's either stressed or something else, but I know who they are. I remember who this person really is. The moment doesn't matter. This too shall pass. Is that true? Unless I decide to try and hang on to it, not let it pass. Have you ever tried not to let something pass? It gets to be painful after a few days. You come home. You caught that one, huh? That's good. That's right. You come home and your spouse is watching TV again. They're reading the newspaper again. They didn't say they loved you again. What does that mean? Scumbag, that's what it means. Divorce. They don't care. They don't love me. They're not attracted to me anymore. Can't imagine why they wouldn't be attracted to you when you're in this personality. Probably looks at other men, looks at other women. Can't imagine why when they get to come home to seeing you in this unique state. Because they don't have very good taste, that's why. They don't know what they've got. Maybe they know what they've got. Maybe that's why they're looking. The meaning we link to things determines our actions, therefore our destiny. I've already shared that with you. The key then is to choose empowering versus disempowering meanings. The key for us from now on is when something happens, we're going to probably have a reaction. And after we're done with our little reaction, we should sit back and say, what's a more empowering way of looking at this? What might be a more empowering way of looking at this? What else could this mean? Because I choose the empowering one. I may be wrong. Is it possible the person really is a scumbag? I guess anything's possible. But it probably won't empower you to look at them that way. Because people tend to be whatever you make them. You might want to write that down. People tend to be whatever you make them. Pretty important frame. And I want you to remember this. Write this in your notes. Whatever you look for, you will find. Whatever you look for, you will find. Whatever you look for, you're going to get. And by the way we look for things is we ask questions about people, about our life, about ourselves. That's how you look for things. The way you direct what you focus on is ask a question. Very quickly, look around this room as fast as you can. I want you to notice everything in this room that's brown. Quick, everything that's brown, brown. Clothing, people's hair, floors, anything brown, brown, brown. Only brown, 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 brown. Close your eyes. With your eyes closed now, tell me everything in this room that's red. Raise your hand if you see a lot more brown in your head than you see red. Raise your hand. Open your eyes, look for red now. See everything you see in this room that's red, 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 red. Anywhere you can see it, clothing, people, anywhere you see red, 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 red. Look around, red, red, red. How many see a lot more red now? Raise your hand. Guess what? You get what you look for. And I got you to look for it by asking a question. That's also how you get yourself to look for things, by asking a question. Like, what's wrong with this person? And you know what? If you look, you'll find what's wrong. What's wrong? Look, there's what's wrong with them. Why are they such a scumbag? You say, okay, why? All right, here's one reason, here's another, here's another. How come I can never succeed? Well, let's see here. You look inside, you say, oh yeah, these suspenders aren't the right level, yeah, this here, yeah, my childhood, yeah, I got all the reasons. We get what we look for. Can you find somebody who's horrible, and could you find something good in them if you look for it? Yes or no? Yeah, because you're the one that determines whether it's good or not anyway. Isn't that true? Could you find something good in Saddam Hussein if you wanted to? I'm not saying we should. Right? If you wanted to, could you? Do certain people think he's good? Yeah. People say, hey, he's gotten back our land. I don't necessarily agree, but you don't have to agree to be able to appreciate. Is there a difference? Yeah. You can appreciate somebody's view even if you don't agree with it. You can appreciate that for them that's true. You can appreciate that they have a different reality than you have about something. Most of us think we all have to share the same perceived reality. Now, sure, we share the same physical reality, but physical reality is not what most of us experience. We experience a perceived reality we've made up in our head. Isn't that true? And so do you remember what the title of this technology is? Bridging realities. What we're going to want to do is build a bridge between our reality and somebody else's so that we can connect and have a relationship. We don't have to make them live in our reality. We don't have to hold our reality as their absolute. We can create a bridge, and by having that bridge, we can exchange information between our two cities, our two communities of emotion, our two communities of understanding. We can create a connection. We're no longer separate. We're connected, and we can share. We can have our own identity and feeling. We can also connect and share. There's no limit. We can do it at any moment. All we have to do is choose to cross the bridge. That's all we got to do. Bridge the reality. I'm going to show you how to do that with people for the rest of your life. It'll change your life like few things you've ever learned in your life. It'll be so simple, it'll be a joke. But it starts with this basic philosophical understanding that the way you feel is based on the meaning you give things. You are the one giving the meaning no matter what, even though it feels like somebody else. And the question is, are you doing an empowering meaning or a disempowering meaning? And if you say, yeah, but look, I got proof that what I'm saying is true. Do you want to be in right, or do you want to be in relationship? Do you want to be right, or do you want to be in love? Now write that down. Ask yourself this is a question of the future. Next time you're in an argument, don't ask yourself, do I want to be right or do I want to be in love? Because that's really your choice. That's really it. See, I think I told you last time I was here, I had a time a few years back where I had a unique partner who I really cared a lot about. He embezzled $250,000, ran me $758,000 in debt. I got a bit peeved by this. I got angrier than I ever remember because I felt so massively what? Hurt. And it's because I had a feeling of what? Loss. The money was part of it. The ability to not have to think about money was another part of it. An equally big part of it was I cared about this person. And they took advantage of me. I felt the loss of trust, the loss of love, the loss of connection. All that got stacked into this anger. How many would hear that? Okay. But see, the truth of the matter is, do I have every right to be able to point and show that this guy is wrong? Sure. Will that make my life better? No. What I got to do is say, how can I use this and move on? Not make him right, not make him wrong. Just go, okay. God, I wonder what would make a person do that. You know, when I finally started asking what would make a person do that, I created my entire Destiny Technologies. It probably is the most powerful set of distinctions I've made in my lifetime. Because I figured out how I could use it and what I could learn from it, instead of how come this happened to me. And I turned my finances around like 100-fold. My little company doing $4 million a year to $50 million a year. It's a fairly large jump. All because I chose to create a different meaning. The meaning is this is a chance for me to go to the next level. The meaning is this is a chance for me to learn and make something better than it's ever been before. Once you link that meaning, the world changes. Just remember, if you don't like the way you feel, change what things mean. Change your perception of what something means or change your actions. That's what it takes, and you'll change the way you feel in a heartbeat. I put a little metaphor here, a couple of them for you. I just want to remind you that when you decide you can't find something also, remember I said what you look for, you'll find? When you decide you can't find something, you'll also discover you won't find it. Because whether you believe something is true or whether you believe it's not, you're right. How many of you have the experience of having somebody say to you something like, can you find me the salt? And you think to yourself, hey, would you go in the cabins and get me the salt? And as you're walking there, you're thinking, I don't know what the salt is. You walk up there, you open up, I don't know where it is. And you really do look, don't you? You really look. But you already have this belief that says, I can't find the salt. So what happens? A few minutes later you go, it's not in here. They go, what are you talking about? It's right there on the shelf. You go, no, it's not. They walk in, they walk right beside you, reach right in front of your face and go, what is this? And what is it? How many of you have this happen to you? Now, the salt wall's already there. You said, Tony, what I look for, I'll find. Yes, what you look for in earnest, you'll find. See, what you really want the answer to, you'll get. But you go, why am I so happy? But you really don't want to know the answer, you're not going to get the answer. Or what's really great about this person? You won't get an answer. It's only what you seek for in earnest. If you don't look for something, you won't find it. You're right. If you don't commit yourself to finding it, you won't. Good thing for you to remember. What do you do when an upset happens? Well, let me give you an example of what I learned from racing school. It changed my whole life. I race cars, Formula cars. And so I went to several different schools, by the way, to do this. And I'll never forget, in my first school, the first thing they really taught us at this one school for racing is they said, the first thing you got to do is you got to know how to recover. You got to know how to recover before anything else. How to drive a car, you guys know how to do. How to go forward, you know how to do that. What you got to do is learn how to recover when you hit the skids on the road. Because if you don't know how to do that, your racing career is going to be rather short or rather painful. And most of you are trying to race through life. And a lot of you are having a rather painful time because you don't recover very well. Or you recover, but in the process of recovering, you smash in everybody else's car along the way. And that makes the next trip around a little resentful for the people. They see you coming by, they kind of avoid you a little bit, going, I'm not getting too close to this doctor, this staff member, this person, this accountant, this secretary, this telephone person, the person around the calendar. I'm not doing that. Because if I do, they're going to smash me up too in the process of them trying to recover. So what they do is they put you in a skid car where they make you go through the process of about to crash, where they knock you off track. And what it is the skid car, they've got a little computer. They fire off this computer, and what it does, it has a little lift, and it lifts one of your wheels, and you never know which direction it'll win. So you're screaming around the track, screaming, and you're not doing full speed, like 140 miles an hour. They start you a little slower, like we're doing this morning. And you go about 60, 70 miles an hour. But 60, 70 miles an hour on a track is pretty intense, and you're going right for a wall, and all of a sudden, you start to skid out of control. And what they tell you in advance is And what you got to do is when you start to get out of control, there's only one key. Look where you want to go. Focus on where you want to go. Do not focus on what you're afraid of. Now, what do people do in life? We focus on what we fear, and we get more of whatever we focus on. That's what they tell you there. They say, look, whatever you focus on, that's where you're going to go. Whatever you focus on, you're going to get more of. You focus on the wall, you're going to get a lot of wall. Real fast, you're going to crash. What you immediately got to do is focus on what you want, not where you think you're going, not where you think you are. If you're not where you want to be, if you're not where you're wanting to go, focus on where you want to go. Immediately, don't hesitate. They said, now what you're going to have to do is when you do this, it won't feel like it's working at first because you'll still feel like you're going into the wall. Because what happens, you have so much momentum in that direction that even when you focus on where you want to go, there'll still be a little bit of momentum in that direction, and there'll be a little bit of a lag time before the car turns. So don't, because you don't seem to be turning, turn back and look, because you do, you're going to go right there and crash. Keep there. You have to use that F word. What is it? Faith. So what happens is you turn, you're going in, and what do most people do? First of all, most people don't even turn. What do I do the first time? I'm screaming along, all of a sudden I start going to control, I go, ah! I'm looking at the wall. My instructor, last minute, saves my life by grabbing my head and going, and pulling my head physically in the direction I should be looking, which is directly 90 degrees opposite of where I was going, right? I'm heading for the wall. That's where I need to look. So we're all about to crash, and he goes like this, and he's pulling my head over here, and all of a sudden I'm going, oh, and I want to look back, oh, when are we going to, oh? And the last second, it turned away. And I went, oh my God, my heart's beating out of me. I said, maybe I should try a different sport. I thought, now this is a good metaphor for life, so let me do it again. So I go out there, and you never know when they're going to do it. You're going. And all of a sudden, I'm starting to love racing again, racing. All of a sudden, I started to go, and you know what I did? I pulled my head. I'm like pulling my head in this direction because I keep wanting to go this way and look at what it is, pulling, and I'm waiting, and sure enough, the car turns just in time. And after a while, you know what you do? Something happens, you notice what it is. You don't stare at what it is. You don't figure out what it is. You don't go, that's a wall. Smacking that, what will it be like to smack that? Ooh, if I smack that, my body will go here, my head will go there. Now, what happens is, you see the wall, you know what it is. You only acknowledge the problem long enough to know what it is, and then move on. Know what it is, focus on where I want to go. The minute I can identify what it is, and that's not where I want to go, so I'm heading for it, in the car, and it's like, now you just, you get off it so fast. Focus on what you want, and you'll get more of it. Focus on what you fear, and you'll get more of that. Focus on what you want, and you'll get more of it. Focus on what you fear, and you'll get more of that. Bottom line is, almost everybody in life focuses on what they fear, and that's why they get more of what they don't want. Right? Well, yeah, but what if this happens? What if that happens? If you keep asking, what if this happens, what if that happens, I guarantee you're going to crash. It's only a matter of time. Instead, you got to say, well, what if this happens? What I want? What will happen when I make this happen, what I want? And the more you focus on that, the more of an experience you'll have of what it is that you want in your life, and you'll get it right away. Now, here's the problem. You got to still hang on to your F. What is it? Faith. You know what faith is? Faith is understanding the seasons of life. Life comes in seasons, doesn't it? It's not always the same, but it's still predictable as a whole. How many of you are surprised when winter comes? Can I see a show of hands? No, you wouldn't be surprised. You don't be surprised when winter comes. And are there emotional winters, yes or no? You better believe there are. Are there times when you try to communicate well, it doesn't work? Are there times in the office where it feels a little frigid, a little cold? And that's not just the air conditioning. What happens during a winter? You break out a fire and warm each other up. See, some people freeze to death in the winter. Other people ski. The meaning of winter is whatever you do with it. Isn't that true? There's nothing wrong with winter. What if it was always summer? You go, oh, that'd be great. Oh, yeah? I think you get bored with summer. I should probably get burned. Now, some people get burned in the summer. Some people get tan. Some people swim. Some people go on vacation. Springtime's a great time, too. You get to plant. Fall, you get to reap. You know what happens to some people in life? What some people do is they say, okay, I'm doing what you said, Robbins. I turn, I focus, but it's not working. You're still in lag time. God's delays are not God's denials. God's delays are not God's denials. You're in lag time. It'll catch up. Hey, look, you think it's fall. We're still in winter. Or you think it's fall and you're in spring. Or you've made it to summer, but we're not to fall yet. Don't be so darn impatient. Take on a new prayer. Lord, give me patience and give it to me right now. Be equally intelligent. It's like Some people think, okay, I know what I want. I want this seed to be a plant. They stick it in the soil. Then they come back the next day and they go, where's my plant? And the soil goes, are you new? That's not how it works. You plant it here, okay? You come back every day and take care of it, right? You make it through the whole spring. Then during summer when it's hot, you got to really, really take care of it because it gets even worse during that time. And you make it through all those seasons. In the fall, maybe, more than likely, not always, but most of the time, you will have a plant here. That's how it works. You go, that's not fair. Best of life is how it is, not how you think it should be. Because if you come back each day, the plant will see you come and start laughing, you know, giggling. Look at this guy. What's the matter with him? Why don't I have it yet? Lag time, that's why. Don't make yourself wrong because you're doing the right things and you don't see the results yet. It takes time. Most people completely overestimate what can be done in a year and underestimate what can be done in a decade. I can tell you my own career, my own life, my business life, I gave my heart and soul every day, 276 seminars a year. Going morning, noon, and night, giving my all. Anybody knows me will tell you, all my all, every day, no matter what. And you know what? I was broke, I was frustrated outside in terms of the business. Nothing was working. And I kept, asking myself a great question, like, why am I screwing this up so much? It wasn't me screwing up, it's lag time. How to make distinctions, how to build something, it takes time. But then the other day I got a little reality check, which we're gonna teach you today. My reality check is I'm flying up to Los Angeles to do my seminar up there in my helicopter, my jet helicopter. It's a tough life, but somebody has to live it. So I don't have to drive for 3 hours. I jump my helicopter, I'm there in 35 minutes. And plus I go down and dive down by the dolphins in the water and lift back up and play. It's like having your own roller coaster. And I'm flying over this area where I used to work in Glendale, California. I worked there as a janitor. I drove my 1960 Volkswagen that literally broke down the freeway one day because the wheel fell off. I worked in the middle of the night so I could still go to school, and I got paid $5 an hour, but as a janitor, they figured out how many hours it should take, so I did half the time, did a better job. Because I learned if you give more value, you get to earn more. Good thing for me to remember. All of a sudden, I flew over the bank, and I stopped. Because see, in a helicopter, you can stop. Like an elevator, just boom, right there. And I just hovered above where I used to work. And I thought, that was 12 years ago. Wow. Wow. For 4 or 5 years after that, I never thought I could have ever had what I wanted. But see, the world moves for those who just never give up. The world will move for those who persist forever and who change their approach. They're flexible in how they do it. They don't just do the same thing over and over again. The world will move for someone who has faith. The world moves for somebody who has trust and then acts on that trust. That's what the world moves for. And someday you get to look down and go, God, was there one time? That's pretty exciting. That's pretty good progress. See, just because you can get it when you want it, you may have overestimated in the short term and underestimated your long-term power and potential. It's something you might want to remember. We mentioned something earlier, but I want to make sure you put it in your notes. And that is the state we're in the moment, the state we're in any moment, powerfully impacts the meaning we associate to something. The state we're in the moment powerfully impacts the meaning that we associate to something or that we assign to something. So one way to change what things mean to you is just change your darn state. Is that true? I mean, if you're feeling great, do things just kind of bounce off you that normally if you're feeling upset? Would you change the way you look at them probably, change the way you feel about it? You bet. So we need to really still manage our state. And we talked about that a great deal last session. I want to make sure that that's part of your life's work. Because your life's work is really learning how to live in a way where you spend most of your time enjoying yourself, very little time in pain. Most of your time in pleasure, very little pain. And living your life hopefully in a way where not only do you feel good all the time, but the people around you feel good just by being around you. Because they're around you, they feel a lot less pain and a ton of pleasure. See, that's my idea of success. Success is when you've learned to live your life in a way where you experience tons of pleasure every day and almost no pain. And simultaneously, where the way you live also causes the people around you to experience very little pain and tons of pleasure. Then you know you're really successful. Because if you feel good and nobody else does, you're a failure. Now, that doesn't mean you go around and try and make everybody feel good. Some people have an investment in feeling bad because they think feeling bad equals feeling good. Are there people that believe that, yes or no? Yeah, because they think if I feel bad, then people will notice me, or they'll love me more, or they'll help me more, or I'll get more attention, which means feeling good. People have weird crap they work inside their head about how to get to feeling good. Some people think I'm going to feel good when I make $1 billion. Some people are like, when I have this, this, and this, when I get married, have these many children, this and this, then I'll feel good. Some people have, well, I'll feel good if I feel bad because then people will notice me and make me feel good. Or you could just like choose to feel good. Which one do you think might be a more intelligent approach? Because who's in control there? You are. You don't have to worry about the environment. By the way, when you're feeling good, it tends to make you want to feel even better. It makes you share good feelings with other people, which makes them feel good, which makes them reciprocate usually. Not always, but usually. Kind of nice. So the bottom line is we got to manage our state still. And as a reminder, as far as that's concerned, changing state means change the meaning. And the way you can do it is either by changing your what? Anybody remember from last session? Change your what? Change your what? Change your physiology. Physiology, again, means the way you move, the way you breathe, your facial expressions, your gestures. The way you use your body determines the way you feel. You got to remember that for the rest of your life. If you're not feeling the way you want to feel, first thing you do is just change the way you're moving. Emotion is created by what? Motion. Emotion is created by motion. You have 50 muscles in your face. A slight change in any of these muscles will radically change the way you feel. Remember we did this last time, I think. What I'd like you to do right now, real quick, is create some tension in your body, some tension, then put a big, huge smile on your face while you're doing it and notice how it feels. How many feel somewhat excited when you feel this? Let me see your hands. You know why? Excitement has tension in it. The only difference is you send a different biochemistry into your body. You fire off different biochemicals when you make a smile. Physically, it changes. You want to get depressed? What do? Drop your shoulders, look down, breathe shallow, drool. Right? Change the way you move. Some people have limited emotions because they have limited motion. They're trying to express their feelings and they go, I have something important I want to share with you. Hear me. Feel me. I am man. Feel this? Versus, listen to me. Come on, let's make this happen. Let's do this. Do you understand what I'm talking about here? The more emotion you have, the more emotion you have. And there's certain emotions you're not feeling because you're not making certain movements happen in your face. You want to change that. You want to go for more. See, did I mention to you last time, did we talk about how certain people who live together for a long time begin to look like each other? Did I mention it? Do you remember why? Because in order to be in rapport, we like people who are like us. So we mirror back similar facial expressions. We do it enough, we literally mold our muscles to be in that way. And we use those kinds of emotions on an ongoing basis. A lot of people look like their dog. I don't have the explanation for that one. I don't know if they're mirroring in that case, right? Maybe they're trying to pick somebody like it, right? But see, the thing we got to realize is we got to control our physiology. So throughout this day, as last time, I want you to remember to live at level 10. You remember what that means? Living at level 10 means what you got to do is ask yourself on a scale from 0 to 10, where's my level of energy? 0 is dead, 10 is unstoppable. Which level is going to allow you to get more out of this weekend? Which one? 10, without a doubt. If nothing else happens from you coming to these fortune programs, but every time you get here, you demand from yourself for 4 days to live at level 10. You think you might develop a little stronger emotional muscle, yes or no? And pretty soon what used to be hard to do, like demanding 10, is the way you live. It's easy. It's like you can live that way easy, no problem. And now you go home and you live at that level. Does that impact your patients, yes or no? Does that impact each other in the office, yes or no? Does it impact your home life? Does that impact those ecstasy ideas we had about the relationship at home? Yes. See, if you're level 10 every time with your personal relationship, would that enhance it, yes or no? So how do you determine whether you're at 10 or not? You decide to go there, and the way you decide to go there is you got to ask yourself on a regular basis, where am I? See, I found the more you measure something, the better it gets. But if you don't measure it, you're not going to do well. If you set a goal on New Year's Eve, and then you check next New Year's, you're in trouble. Because you had one correction. It was at the end of the year, and it was too late. Once a month, you got a better chance. Once a week, you can really have it. Once a day, you won't have a bad year, you won't have a bad month, the worst you have is a bad day. The more we measure, the better we get. So what we've got to do is ask ourselves, where are we on a scale from 0 to 10? Where are you right now on a scale from 0 to 10? Sit right now like you would if you were at level 10. Okay, that's clear, you weren't at 10 then, isn't it? Come on, sit the way you'd be at level 10. I mean, absolutely, totally energized, excited, having fun, being outrageous and playful. Sit the way you'd be sitting right now if you're at level 10. Come on. And oh, you're not at 10. Come on. Come on, this is not 10. Let me see 10 here. Come on, even more energy, come on. Most of you would probably have to make some noise or do something with your body to get to level 10. Come on, wake your body up. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, wake your body up. Come on. Come on. Come on. Now, this is level 10. Now, go to level 2. And imagine trying to learn in this pace for the next 3 days. Go back to level 10. Come on, go, 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 go. Come on, 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 come on. Now, I want you to commit you're not going to drop below level 8 for the rest of the weekend. Are you willing to do that? Yes or no? Yes, yes or no? Yes. Great. Now, if it's tough to stay at level 10, you want to push yourself to level 20. So just as a reminder, stand up. Remember how we do this? We put ourselves in a yes state. Y'all remember what that means? Good. Then what I want you to do right now is take off your jacket. You have that. Not your blouse, ma'am, just the jacket. And we're going to put ourselves in that yes state. We're going to put ourselves in that state I talked about last time. Remember I gave you a metaphor the last time we were together, a reminder. I said there's a puddle of water here in front of me, and I'm an old person. I come up to that water, what will I do? No, not just walk around it, I'll walk around it and bitch about it while I walk around it. Okay? But if I'm a kid, how do I deal with a puddle? That's right, yes, boom, that's the state we're going in. All those who want to do that for the weekend say aye. If you were in that state and somebody like came along and said, yeah, how do kids deal with that? They go, yeah. Would that be a healthier response than going, okay. Looking for new ways to hiss and get this person. Would that be more healthy, yes or no? Sure, it's more playful, it's more outrageous. Next time somebody gets real bitchy, just get real bitchy back, we'll do it funny. Will that break their pattern? Yeah, you might piss them off even more. Well, at least we're moving them in some direction. So when I say now, what you're gonna do is you're gonna wake your body up like a little kid again, you're gonna scream, wait. You're gonna scream and yell and be totally outrageous like a kid. If you weren't here before, you'll catch on quick. Then, at the peak of our being totally bizarre, weird, outrageous, playful, seductive, fun, adventurous, and outrageous again, what we're going to do at the peak of that is we're going to go and we're going to clap our hands and say the word yes right at that moment. And when you clap your hands and say yes at that moment, your job is to create more energy, more excitement, more outrageousness than the moment before. We'll do it faster and faster. At the end, we'll do the woe clap. But what I want you to do is go to level 20 on this. On a scale from 0 to 10, you're going to go to level 20. You go, that's impossible. That's why we're going to do it. Because also, once you've been to level 20, level 10 feels like you're relaxing by contrast. Okay, first let's just say try the word yes strongly and notice how it feels again. Ready? Yes! Say it again stronger. Yes! Oh, even stronger. Yes! Yes! One more time. Yes! Yes! That feel pretty good? Yes! Okay, good. Now, let's put it all together. Be a little kid again, be outrageous, create some energy, come on. How many are now at level 3? Now some of you here for the first time going, what have I gotten myself into? It's a cult! It's the yes cult. Now how do you get a muscle? You push yourself beyond what's comfortable and you do it consistently. And that creates growth. So we're going to do it again. You go, I barely survived the first one. Let's try it again. Ready? Wake your body up. Be outrageous. Come on. Now, in this state, if somebody had some petty upset with you, could you handle it? Great. Then get a bouncing hug from the person next to you and grab a seat. And grab a seat. All right. We said there were two ways, though, that we could change our state. One was to change our what now, nice and loud? Or the other is to change our focus. Change the way we're representing things to ourselves. Like picturing things in our head is one way we focus. Somebody doesn't show up on time, we picture in our head, I'll see why, because they're out there messing around, because they don't care about me, because this and this and this. Another way we focus is by what we say to ourselves. We represent, oh, well, they're not doing it probably because they don't really love me. We talk to ourselves in certain ways. We get all these negative feelings. But if we change what we focus on, we change what we feel. If you think of something you're afraid of and you focus on it, will you feel it? You bet. If you wanted to feel depressed right now, how many could pull it off? No problem. How would you do it? You remember, don't you? Little reminder here. Just put yourself in a lousy physiology. Or, easily, another way you could do it, of course, mess up your biochemistry, eat in a way that drops your blood sugar through the floor. Or else could you pull it off? All you have to do is think of something that once happened that made you feel bad. Something in the past, and remember it again. That seems very intelligent, doesn't it? And feel bad about it once again. How many of you would go to a movie that was terrible over and over and over and over again? How many would think that would be real intelligent? Let me see your hands. If you, one of your friends said, yeah, I'm going to this movie, I hate it, sucks, I'm going back there again. You go, how many times have you been to this movie? About 4,000. What would you probably ask them? Why would you go back there? Well, because I have to. Would you believe them? I don't believe you either when you tell me that. But I always believed in you because I know you know better. You don't need to go to those movies anymore. They're a bunch of myths anyway, made by poor directors. Lousy writers, lousy producers. You're a better producer, director, and writer now. You're probably even a better actor or actress. So why not create it the way you want it instead of seeing the same old movies over and over again? Most producers I know don't sit and watch their worst movies over and over and over again and feel bad about them again. What the most of them do is they go, that was part of my learning experience. Time to move on. How else could you feel bad, by the way? You could do it currently, couldn't you? All you have to do is think of something you think you've lost that maybe hasn't even happened. Right? Or think of something that you want but you're not getting right now and feel bad about it. Or you could think of something that hasn't even happened yet and feel bad about it in advance. Couldn't you do that? Like, oh my God, and focus on what if this happens? Oh God, it feels terrible, oh gosh. Remember, a coward dies 1,000 deaths. A courageous man or woman only once. Because the coward runs it through the head about 8 million times and feels like they're dying 8 billion times. If you have any faith, any courage, then if it really ever does happen, you'll just deal with it once. You feel the pain only one time instead of stacked over and over and over and over again. If you want to feel good, could you do that? Sure. Would a producer go back to some of their best movies and see them again, do you think? Yes or no? Would they even share some of those movies with their friends? You know what some people do? Some people actually take the worst movies of the past and go share them with their friends, their worst movies. Tell them all about all the gory details of it. And the friend goes, yeah, that's really great. Yeah. But see, a real great producer director shows them their current films, shows them some examples of films that are about to come called previews. Previews are rather exciting usually. Or they show them the best films of their past and share those with them so that people get to enjoy more of their life. Maybe even learn something. Who knows? But you could remember something that once happened that was great, feel good about it. You could think of something right now that you could feel great about, or you could think of something that hasn't even happened yet and feel good about it in advance. What determines what you focus on, though, is one thing: the questions you ask yourself. The questions you ask yourself determine what you focus on in that moment. What questions you ask are usually controlled by your beliefs. Because you could ask any question. But unless you do it consciously, you'll just ask the same questions that are in alignment with your old beliefs, your old BS, belief systems. So the bottom line is we've got to ask better questions. And I will tell you the question I want you to learn to ask the next time you get upset with someone. This is the first question I would ask myself if I were you. What else could this mean? What else could this mean? I will know a person is intelligent when I say this and this happened. I started to get upset, and I thought to myself, well, what else could this mean? You know, maybe it doesn't mean what I think it means. Maybe they weren't really being harsh. Maybe what it means is they're stressed. Maybe what I'm hearing from this person about what they said about me is not true. Maybe what it really is a distortion. Not that they mean to distort, but it's a distortion. Maybe what I've heard this person said about me is a deletion. Maybe this person is generalizing. Maybe this person heard it through somebody else. Maybe that person misinterpreted what I said. Maybe this whole thing isn't accurate. Maybe it's accurate, but they're stressed. Maybe I'm just stressed right now. Maybe what this really means is I'm stressed and I need to get more resourceful and be more loving. And I can handle this. Maybe what this means is it's a chance for me to go to the next level. What else could this mean? You're only upset when you've decided on a meaning that creates an upset. So if you're feeling upset, what else could this mean? Because again, how many of you have ever thought something meant something and been upset about it later on found you were wrong? How many have done this? So wouldn't it be smart as a first step to always ask, what else could this mean? And search for other possibilities. See, with my friends, I always do this. If I care about somebody, I always do this. And what I've learned to do is even with people I didn't so much care about or didn't even know. What else could this mean? See, that makes your whole life open up and expand. See, once you think you know what everything means, you're in deep trouble. Because when you're a kid, you know what happened? You used to have this big giant doorway. But then you became an adult and you noticed the door. And you started to say, I know how this door works. And you close it a little bit. You said, I know how the world is, and you closed it more. I know the world is, and pretty soon, now you know how the world is. You absolutely know how the world was. See, when you're a kid, you didn't know how the world was. It was just amazing how big the world was. It was amazing how much wonder there was in the world. How much you could learn, how much you could grow, how stimulated you were. You were stimulated by all kinds of things because you didn't know for sure what everything was. You're always curious about what things were. But as an adult, you now know what everything is. And if it doesn't fit in there, it's wrong. We want to open our door back open by saying, well, yeah, but what else could it mean? 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 Feel a little freer. The other question I tend to ask myself is, do I know everything there is to know about this? Do I know everything there is to know about this? Somebody says something to you, they're really upset with you, or somebody raises their voice. That means they hate me. What else could it mean? Well, it could mean they're stressed. Could mean they don't understand. Could mean they don't even realize they're yelling. Could mean that they need some support. Could mean what I know it means, it's a cry for help. Could mean that I'm oversensitive right now. Could mean that I react to voice tonality instead of real feelings. Could mean nothing. Could just be something that came and went. Do I know everything there is to know about this? No, I don't know everything there is to know about this. I mean, there's all kinds of things that could be going on. I don't know. Opens your world again. We're going to teach you to do this in a format that makes sense. Now, the thing that happens, though, if we want to be able to really take control of our meaning is we got to pay attention to our emotions. So in your notes, write down emotions. Under emotions, in fact, you might want to write the word negative emotions. Negative emotions. Negative emotions. And then as soon as you write it down, cross it out. The word negative, anyway. What are some of your negative emotions? Tell me what they are. Fear, what else? Pardon me? Hate, what else? Anger, what else? Guilt, what else? Worry, what else? Upset, guilt, what else? Frustration. I got a question for you. Are they really negative? I'm here to tell you there's no way they're negative. Every emotion you've ever had in your life serves a purpose. The reason it's negative is you've been calling it negative instead of getting the message it's been trying to give you. Every emotion you have, including those you think of as negative, those ones you call negative emotions, I call them emotional messages. I also call them calls to action. All those negative emotions as you used to label them are really a call to action. Fear is a call to action. By the way, do you feel that call to action in your body when you're afraid? Yes or no? Does your adrenaline start pumping, your whole system start gearing up? Emotions are a call to action. And the call to action says one of two things has to happen in that call to action. It's a message. Every emotion is a message. a call to action. And the action of the message it's trying to give you is that you need to change either, number one, your perception of this, or number two, your current actions. Every negative emotion you've ever felt is not negative. Now, you may be overusing them, I'll agree with you. You may be indulging in them, I agree with you. You may not be getting the message from them. What's making it negative is you're not getting the message it's trying to give you. But every emotion, fear, frustration, hate, anger, guilt, all of those emotions are here to serve you if you get quick the message. But what most of us do is we just indulge in the emotion. So we never get the message, and that's why it's negative, because it starts screwing up your body, because what it is a signal to act, and you're not acting. That's why you feel sick to your stomach. You're not acting. You just keep on indulging emotion, not hearing the message. So the message is always, you must change something. Negative emotions are saying you got to change something. Either change the way you're perceiving this, change the meaning you've linked to this, change your perception, change your focus, or change your actions. Change what you're doing because it isn't working. That's why you're having that emotion. Don't make your emotions wrong. Appreciate them. Be grateful for them, but immediately then ask yourself, hey, what's the message that my emotion's trying to give me here? What do I need to change? My perception or my actions? Does this make sense? Yes, no? So then, how do we make use of it? Well, first of all, notice this. How do most of us deal with our emotions? Well, most of us deal with our emotions by suppressing them. In fact, before you write that down, actually, I put over here 4 ways to deal with emotions. 4 ways to deal with emotions. I think the number one way most people deal with their emotions is they try to avoid them. By the way, how effective is that? No. You might do it for a moment or two, but most people, they just try to avoid feeling. Isn't that true? People who don't like to feel negative feelings are so afraid of negative feelings, they try not to feel any feelings. Now, if you don't feel any feelings, you really are going to have some pain. Because that's what life is for. Life, part of the juice of life is expressing and feeling. But sometimes people have had so much pain, they say, I don't want to feel anything. It never works, because eventually it comes out anyway. And then you feel bad about never having felt bad. You feel bad about the fact you didn't feel good. You have a sense of loss because you didn't feel things. Second way people try and deal with their emotions is they endure them. They're going to grunt it out. I'm going to endure these. I'm going to make it through this. I'll hang on to this. And again, this doesn't work. Now, they may try and disassociate after a while here again, or they may try and suppress the emotion. I'll just endure it. I'll just keep pushing it down, and I'll make it through it. I'll just endure it. That doesn't make it better either. Third way, what some people do, I don't know if you've ever seen this happen. I'm sure you've never done this. People compete to see who feels the worst. Some people do is they keep track of their emotions so they can share them with other people and compete. So somebody says, oh man, I feel like hell. Oh, you feel like hell. Let me tell you how I feel. You think you got a problem. Let me tell you my problem. You think you got the biggest problem. Check out my problem. It stands out to here. And people sit there and try and argue about who's got the worst problem. Right? Or the fourth thing that I don't have up there that I'd say, the fourth thing that people do is try and share their pain. Share their problem. They think, oh, I can get rid of my emotion by sharing it with others. So they try and get other people to feel bad too. That way we'll be friends. We can share in the pain together. We must love each other. Are these very intelligent ways to deal with your emotions, yes or no? Now, you don't want to avoid them. You don't want to endure them. You don't want to compete for who's got the biggest and worst emotion. Try and make yours worse than somebody else's. You don't want to share them. Make them feel bad too. What a friend you are. Instead, what you want to do is step 5. Learn from them and utilize them. You want to learn from them and utilize them. Now, in order to learn from them and utilize them, in order to change an emotion, we have to change what something what's to us. Starts with an M. We have to change what something what? Means to us. When we change what something means, we transform our emotion. We have a transformation. Does that make sense? In other words, if I'm feeling really upset about something, I'm angry, angry, angry. Do I have to communicate that to get off my anger? No, not necessarily. I'm angry because of the meaning I linked up. What if I change what it means in my head and I realize, hey, that's not what it means? Then will I feel angry, yes or no? Yes or no? If I'm really angry about something, I'm angry because of what I've linked up to it. I'm saying, well, I'm angry because they did that and that means this. But if I really analyze it and I look at it for a while and I go, God, that's a bunch of crap. It doesn't really mean that. then I've transformed my feeling. Do I now have to go to that person and say, what you did made me angry? Yes or no? Yes or no? No, because I don't have that feeling. I truly don't have it. I'm not suppressing it. I've transformed it. Suppression, however, is when you keep the same meaning, that you keep the same meaning. You're upset about something and you keep the same meaning. You don't change the meaning. All you try and do is stuff the emotion. You try to pretend it's not there. That's suppression. So if you keep the same negative emotion, you don't change how you feel about it, you just try and pretend it's not there. That's suppression, and that's when you get in trouble. So our goal is not just to take things and not suppress them and just express whatever we feel, because if you just go express whatever you feel and you don't think it out, are you going to always communicate well, yes or no? No, in fact, you may say things later on you'll regret in the heat of the moment because you were in state. So what you first want to do is see if you can transform it, honestly and sincerely, and if you can't, then your goal is to get someone to help you to transform it. Go to the source and get the source to help you to transform this. So you know what? I felt this way about this. I made up this bizarre meaning. I know it's not true because I know who you really are. But this is like a crap I did in my head. Can you help me? I need to change this. Can you give me some more information or some feedback or help me to clarify this thing? Because I kind of screwed this up in my brain because I know that's not what you meant. That's what I did inside my head. Can you help me out? Is that different than, you know something? The other day when you did this, I felt this, which by the way implies what they did made you feel something. Is that true, yes or no? Does anybody do anything and make you feel something, yes or no? Yes or no? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now you have a right to feel the way you feel, but that isn't true that it's actually what made you feel that way. You chose to make yourself feel that way. You communicated that to yourself. So instead of saying, when you did this, that made me feel this, that's implying that somebody made you do something, and that takes responsibility away from the one person who can change your life, meaning you. So I request in the future this. Nothing wrong with any of that. What we want to do is enhance it. The way we want to enhance it is come from the place of, I'm communicating because I want to transform something and I'm responsible, not them. You know, I need your help. I need your help. The other day when this thing happened, I used that to interpret that to mean this. And I know it's not true because I know who you are. I need some clarity. Can you help me out? I got to clean this up. And me. Who's responsible? By the way, will they want to help you? Yes or no? By the way, what you're really doing here is making clear what you're really doing, which is you're doing a cry for help. Maybe not crying, you're making a request for help instead of crying. Make sense? And people hear this is a request for help. Do we want to help other people? Yes or no? Especially us, we're all in the helping business. That's why we do what we do. That's the bottom line. So we're going to develop a format like this where we don't suppress, but we don't just express. Because you know what happens? If you just go out there and whatever you feel you express, what you really do is you vent. And then you make it right. Or you demand. See, venting and demanding does not make communication better in the long term. How many would agree with me on this? Okay. We want to go to a different level. We want to transform our communication. We want to transform what things mean to us. Now, here's what I want to be able to have you do. I want you to be able to take the emotions that you're experiencing and be able to deal with them quickly. So I want to give you 6 steps to changing or dealing with, not dealing with, but I guess utilizing is the right word. 6 steps to utilizing any emotions you feel that you used to call negative, which now I call emotional messages, or calls to what? Calls to action. Whenever you're feeling a negative emotion, which we're now going to call emotional messages, it's a call to action, and it's saying you need to change something. What do you need to change? One of 2 things. Repeat back. What are they? Change either number 1, your what? No, well, you could change your physiology, but if you are getting feedback right now, you're getting a negative emotion, that negative emotion's a message. It's saying you got to change either your perception or your actions. And your actions could be the way you're using your body or your focus or whatever. Change your perception or your actions. Now here's what happens when you get a negative emotion or now an emotional message. Number 1, you want to identify what the emotion is. So you're starting to feel negative things. You want to identify what is the emotion. Now when you identify the emotion, what the emotion is, like you're really upset. Ask yourself, well, what am I really feeling? Underneath this, you might write down the question, what am I really feeling? What am I really feeling? So when you say, I'm upset, I'm going to say, what am I really feeling? And what might your answer be when you say, what am I really feeling? I'm upset with this person. What am I really feeling? I might be feeling hurt. Does that change how you feel in that moment as you identify that? Yes or no? Yes. And when you say, what am I really feeling? You might put a little note in your notes. Use some TV. Use some TV when you come up with your label. Transformational what? Vocabulary. So instead of saying, I'm destroyed, I'm devastated, I'm humiliated, you might say, I'm feeling a little bit hurt. Use TV and use what I call softeners. Softeners are the words like a little bit. So softeners and TV. Here's the second key. Once you've identified what it is, and by the way, usually it's going to be, I have a sense of hurt or a sense of loss. Almost all emotions will probably come down to that in most cases. Is that true? In most cases, not all. Second thing you do, acknowledge and appreciate the message it has for you. Don't deny your emotions. Don't avoid your emotions. Don't suppress your emotions. Don't make them wrong. Don't share them. Start by identifying what they really are and then acknowledge and appreciate the message it has for you. In other words, acknowledge, hey, this is a real emotion. I'm glad I'm having it. It's going to have a great message for me. Then go to step 3. Get incredibly curious. Get incredibly curious as to what it has to offer you, as to what the message is. Get incredibly curious as to what the message is. Underneath this one, number 3, as you get incredibly curious as to what the message is, write down the question. What is the real message this emotion is giving me? What is the real message this emotion is trying to give me? What is the real message this emotion is trying to give me? I'll offer you some ways to do this. Let's do all 6 though so you know where we're going. Step 4. Okay, the question on 3, some of you are still there. Question number 3 is, what is the message this emotion is trying to give me? What's the real message? Number 4, get yourself to feel reassured that you can deal with this emotion. Get yourself to feel reassured that you can deal with this emotion. See, a lot of times the stress is, oh my God, how am I going to deal with this? So get yourself reassured you can deal with emotion. And the way you do that is, remember a time when you've dealt with this emotion successfully in the past. Remember a time when you've dealt with this emotion successfully in the past. So if all of a sudden you start to feel depressed, that's a pretty negative feeling. I, first of all, would not call it depression. I'd say a little bit down. But the first thing you do is you go, okay, I'm feeling this terrible feeling. I start to feel depressed. Well, what am I really feeling? Well, I'm really just feeling a little bit down. Okay, great. You know what? That's great. I appreciate it. That's a message. I need to get curious. What is that message? What's the message this thing's trying to give me? And what depression's message usually is, by the way, is you need to reset your priorities. That you don't feel like you're in control. That you got too many things going at once. You feel out of control when you're depressed. So what you have to do is set some priorities and go do the first one on your list. That's what the message is telling you. You feel out of control. The way to get in control, reset your priorities and go do one thing and complete it. The minute you do, your self-esteem will go right back up. So that's a message. So what's the message it's offering me? And by the way, I'm going to teach you the 9 most powerful emotions that you probably experience, what their messages are. So you won't have to wonder about this. You'll know what they are. Step 4, get yourself to feel reassured by remembering times when you dealt with this in the past. Have you ever felt a little bit down before, or what you used to call depressed? How many have ever felt that way in the past? Let me see your hands. How many have dealt with it? Let me see your hands. Great. If you remember that, 2 things happen. You're going to feel reassured you can deal with it, plus you're going to remember how you did it, which means you can use what you did in the past to change it right now. Why wait? Most of us forget the best parts of our past, which is how we dealt with things and turned them around. We just remember the negative feelings. That's kind of weird. Maybe we need to manage our memories better. Remember the things that have resources for us and forget the things that don't. Number 5, get certain. Get certain that you can handle anything like this in the future. Get certain. Not only can you deal with the emotion you have right now, but what you should do is use this as an opportunity to be certain for yourself. Get yourself certain. If it ever happens in the future, I'll handle this emotion quicker and easier. Get certain that you can handle anything like this in the future by rehearsing yourself dealing with it in the future. In other words, think of a time in the future where this depression could have come up and see yourself, feel yourself rehearsing again. Use this as a tool of empowerment. So you remember a time when you were depressed before, you a little bit down, you turned it around. It took you a little while, but you turned it around. You remember what you did. Oh, I dealt with this before, I can deal with it again. And then you say, let me take this opportunity to get certain that I can handle this if it ever came up in the future. And the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to sit down right now and I'm going to think of, okay, what kind of things might happen in the future? I might get depressed. Well, I might expect something didn't work, feel bad about it. Let me think of a time like that. Okay, let me see myself, hear myself, feel myself deal with it. You see, hear, and feel yourself dealing with it easily. And you do this 2, 3, or 4 times. If you keep doing it 2, 3, or 4 times, then in the future when it comes up, guess what your brain will do? Your brain will go, oh, I can handle this. I'm already prepared. How many are following the logic of this? Let me see your hands. Okay? So get certain you can deal with it in the future by rehearsing. And by the way, remember this. You might want to put this in your notes. Your brain cannot tell the difference between something you vividly imagine and something you actually experience. Your brain cannot tell the difference between something you vividly imagine, where you see it, you hear it, you feel it, you taste it, you touch it, you smell it in your mind, and something that actually occurs. If you doubt this, have you ever had a dream where it was so real you had every physical response to it? How many have had a dream like that? Okay, you can have a dream anytime you want, even while you're awake. All you have to do is rehearse something in your mind enough times, vividly enough, and it's real. If you over and over again rehearse yourself dealing with emotion easily, then it's real. Next time it comes up, you've already got the programming. You already have the resources to turn it around in a heartbeat. Then this emotional message, it's dealt with for the future, not just for today. And the 6th step, take action and change your life. Whatever the message is, take the action that you need to take and change your life. Do something. Doing something always will change how you feel. You feel bad because you're not doing anything. And by the way, you'll continue to feel bad until you do something to change. So you do anything, it'll improve you and move you in the direction you want to go. So let's take another example. What's another negative emotion you feel? Let's hear an example of one you felt recently. Somebody raise your hand. Rejection. So what's the first step when you think you're feeling rejection? What's step number 1? Come on, guys, what is it? Identify it, specifically, identify what the emotion really is. Let's call it that. Identify what the emotion really is. Identify what the emotion really is. So you ask yourself, what am I really feeling? So a person said rejection. What were you really feeling? Shh, no, let him answer. That's your answer. His answer was disappointment. Is that different than rejection, yes or no? Yes or no? Yes, and by the way, when he realizes he's just disappointed, it's not as intense as rejection, is it? What happened with one question? His pain just dropped. Still painful probably, but not anywhere near as intense. Am I false or true on that? Okay, great. Now, so he's disappointed. Great, so now he knows when he realizes he's disappointed, he might even add some TV or a softener here. And the softener might be, he might say, I was a what? A little bit disappointed. Well, I'm a little bit disappointed. Okay, that makes it even less. Now what does he do? Number 2, does he make himself wrong for feeling that way? Yes or no? Yes or no? What does he do? He needs to acknowledge and what else? Appreciate the fact that he's getting a very valuable message. And it's a message he needs to change something. He needs to either change his perception about it so he's no longer disappointed, or he needs to change his actions so he doesn't be disappointed now or in the future. Step 3, what does he need to do? Get incredibly what? Like a little kid? What? Curious. When we're curious, do we learn things more? Do we learn better when we're curious? You bet. So he needs to get incredibly curious about what this message has to offer him. If you were really curious, what do you think that message really had to offer you? Perhaps this was just an unmet expectation that was taking place up here and it wasn't even reality. What's happening to his level of emotional intensity right now? How many see that it's dropping? Can you see that? Okay, it's dropping right now. You go, great. Can you remember a time? Next step is get himself what? What? Great. And the way to do that is get him to what? Remember a time when he's dealt with it. Have you ever been disappointed before and dealt with it? Can you remember a specific time? Can you turn it around, made it good? Can you remember a specific one? Think for a moment of time when you turn around and you made it great. You actually took it, made it to your advantage. Remember a time like that? How'd that feel? So you know how to deal with this, don't you? Well, I got a question for you. What did you do back then that changed it? He redefined the terms he was going to use. He changed his perception or his rules. Great. How'd that feel when you resolved it? So great. So when he goes to reassure this, 2 things happen in the reassurance. One is he sees he can deal with it. He sees and feels he can deal with this easily. And number 2, he sees how. And number 3, he remembers how good it feels to relieve himself from the feeling. So he remembers how good it feels to get rid of it. Which, by the way, makes him want to get rid of it right now. And what's the last 2 steps? Step number 5. What do we want to make sure? We want to make sure he doesn't just not feel bad about it anymore now, but we want to make sure his future's better. We want to get him what? Get what? Certain that he can handle this in the future. So he probably feels pretty certain right now, but you know what I'd like you to do? I'd like you to think some other area in your life where possibly in life you could have gotten disappointed in the future. Some kind of thing that might come up. Can you think of something that could come up and do that? Look, he already knows. Close your eyes for a minute. And just for a moment, what I want you to do is I want you to think of that thing starting to happen when you start to get disappointed or feel rejected, actually, is what you did initially. Then you realize you're just disappointed, and then you just handle it. See yourself handling it in the future even better than you have in the past. And notice how good it feels the minute you handle it. Can you feel that? Think of another time, something else that could happen in the future, where it might have been a real major disappointment. But see yourself handle it real quickly, real easy, getting off and making it work, and notice how good you feel as soon as you handle it.
Got it.
Okay, do it one more time. Do 3. Do a third one. Some other area of your life where you're really disappointed. See and feel yourself handling that real easily, real quickly.
Got it.
Good. How do you feel about your ability to deal with this in the future?
More confident.
How many can hear it in his voice? You hear that? Hear the depth in his voice. And the last thing is, go take action and change it. He may have already done that if it was changing a perception. Or he can go do it physically. How many follow the system? Okay, we're going to do one more. I need a volunteer up here so everybody can see this person, because if you would have saw his face just now, it changed. Somebody who's had an emotion that you really, recently had and it bugged you or created some negative feeling for you. Somebody's got one of those. Oh, nobody in the whole room. I don't want to be out there. I know what he'll do. Boy, all this people here are pointing to this guy here. Is that your staff pointing at you, Dr. Bob? Dr. Bob, give him a hand. Yes, indeed. Great. Here you go, sir. He's going to reward you guys for this later. He probably will, actually.
That's right.
Dr. Bob, what's a negative message, a negative feeling that you've had recently that you'd like to change, you really are committed to changing, but it's been bugging you?
Disappointment and rejection.
Disappointment and rejection. Well, it seems a lot of that's going around. Must be catchy. It's the rejection virus. People are spreading it. Okay, well, which one would you like to deal with? Or are they tied together?
Well, actually, it's probably...
What question did he just ask? For him to say, actually, it's, he's already done step 1. What's the question he just asked? For him to already say, actually, it's, what did he ask? He first of all started to identify what the feeling really was, didn't he? And the question he asked is, what am I really what? Feeling. What are you really feeling?
Anger.
Anger. What's that really?
Well, what that really is I was angry because I felt rejected.
Okay.
And I was really disappointed about what happened, the circumstance.
So what's he done? He's managed to stack his negative emotions one on top of another.
Sure.
And by the way, this is unique to Dr. Bob. Nobody else you know does this, do they? But what are you really feeling? All that stuff, what's behind all that stuff? You just really feel what?
Rejected.
Rejected.
Disappointed. I mean, it was discounted by...
Does he look like a computer that keeps running the same program over and over again? He's a reject, disappointed. He's running right back through the thing. Do you feel hurt?
Yes, yeah.
Do you feel rejected or do you feel hurt?
I feel hurt.
Do you feel disappointed or do you feel hurt? Or do you feel a sense of loss?
A sense of loss.
Do you feel rejected or do you feel a sense of loss?
Sense of loss.
Do you feel angry or do you feel a sense of loss?
Sense of loss.
Do you feel hurt or do you feel a sense of loss?
Loss.
What does it always come down to? Loss. Now we can call it whatever we want. Okay? So he's identified it. So, next question is, what do we want him to do? Should he feel bad about having those feelings, yes or no? No, you know what? These are valuable messages that are coming to you. They really, truly are. But what you should feel bad about is indulging in them and not using them. Not learning. You want to feel bad, if you don't learn anything, then feel bad. And then get tired of feeling bad and just decide to learn something. Because you can learn something as soon as you ask, what can I learn from this, right? So right now, instead of making him wrong, what I want you to do for a moment is really appreciate those emotions. Acknowledge the fact those emotions have a valuable message. And then immediately get what? Like a kid, get what? Get curious for a second as to what those messages really are. What can you really learn from that? What is that message really offering you? In other words, let's go back up to the first one you said, rejection. By being rejected or disappointed, what is that motion of rejection trying to tell you?
The relationship's important. Love's important.
It's telling him that relationship's important, that love is really important to him. Is that a valuable message? Yeah. What was that disappointed in telling you? What was the message it was trying to tell you? Now, a person may say, I don't know. If you did know and it had a positive message, it's always telling you to change something. It's telling you to change your perception about something, or it's telling you to change your actions. So what is that emotion of disappointment telling you? To change what? What do you need to change?
How I love.
How he loves. Very interesting. In what way do you need to change how you love?
How it's communicated, shown.
How it's communicated and shown. How do you need to communicate and show your love more effectively?
I'm curious.
Is that better than feeling rejected, disappointed, and lost? Yes or no? Yes. Is this a powerful transformation in this man? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, good. So stay curious, because that's it. Instead of going, oh, I don't know the answer. We don't know the answer, and you're a little kid. What do? You get even more what? If you don't know the answer, don't go, oh, God, I don't know the answer by that time. I don't know how it feels. They go, I'm getting more curious. You have plenty of time, because curiosity is valuable. What would you get?
Need to be more, I'm confused.
Good. Confused means you're about to make a change. Is that true? See, when you know what things mean, you'll just keep doing it the way you've always done it. He was not confused when he went, I'm disappointed, I'm rejected, I'm frustrated. In fact, he kept doing it over and over again. He was not confused. He knew exactly how to do that. Now he's confused. His little brain's going, this little computer program's not working the same way.
So,
So the question always help him out with is, what do you need to change in order to no longer feel this? You need to change your perception or your actions or both. And what do you need to change about your perceptions? What do you need to change about your actions? You may want to write that down. Go ahead.
So my action should be different. I mean, if what I did didn't work, I need to try something else.
That's right.
So I need to communicate that differently and behave differently.
Okay. And how many hear what he just said? Do you understand what he said? He said what it's saying is the way I communicated, the fact I got rejected is a message that love's really important to me, and that I need to change the way I'm communicating so I get what I want. Because obviously it didn't work, so I got to change my approach. Is that true? Is that different than I'm not worthwhile as a meaning, or they don't love me as a meaning? Yes or no? Huge difference in how he feels. Have you ever felt rejected or disappointed in the past and dealt with it really powerfully or really effectively?
Yes.
You remember a specific time?
Yes.
Okay, go back to that time and remember how you dealt with it and how you turned it around and made it something positive.
Okay.
How'd that feel, first of all?
Great. A sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, that's right. And how did you do it?
I took action.
What did you do? Take action. How did you do that? What did you do?
I started doing things differently.
Oh, great.
Expressing myself differently.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Wow. By the way, what is this doing now? It's teaching his brain, if you do this, you're going to get pleasure. What you used to do gave you what? Pain. The brain is always trying to avoid what? And move towards what? He's teaching his brain right now. He's rewiring his brain a little bit here. Now, by the way, I keep using these computer metaphors, and I see some of you get pained when I do that. And I think it's because you think, oh, do you think I'm just a computer? No, I see you as a spiritual being who also has a filtering system. And that filtering system sometimes you allow to take control and keep you from doing what you do naturally, which is just love and appreciate other people, including yourself. Okay. So we got to deal with both sides. How it is, how we operate unconsciously, as well as who we are. We want to deal with how we operate so we can be more of who we are. Now, I'd like you to think about this for the future. First of all, you feel pretty good about you being able to deal with it right now?
Yes.
Yeah, and by the way, does he really look like he can deal with it now, yes or no? So think about the future. I'd like you to think of some place in the future where you could have felt rejected or disappointed. Something that could come up that could cause you to feel rejected or disappointed.
Okay.
Okay? Close your eyes if you would, and see yourself using your skills, and handling it 10 times better, quicker, more easily, turning it around right away. And feel how good it feels to turn that around.
Okay.
How does that feel?
Feels good.
Can you do it?
Yes.
Easily or hard?
I can do it.
You can do it. Okay, great. So now I want you to do it. That's great. So now I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to think of another time where it would come up. Only this time I want you to do it easily. I want you, there are resources inside of yourself you haven't thought of before, and I want you to do it and even enjoy it. Turn around and make it happen easier and quicker.
Okay.
Okay, look at it. If I ask him to do it, can he do that? Yes.
Yes.
I'm asking him a better question. It gives him better resources. Okay. Can you see yourself handling it quicker and easier in that one?
Yes.
How does that feel?
Great.
How many see the difference and hear it in his voice? Great, let's do one more. Think of something else that could come out in the future where you could have felt rejected or disappointed, but now, heck no, you handle it really easily, real quickly, just like this.
Okay.
Have you already done it?
Mm-hmm. Done.
He's getting a little faster at this, isn't he? He's got some experience. How do you feel when you do that?
Super.
Super. Look at him. Look at his face. Now, if someone were to say, I'm going to reject you now.
Thank you very much.
Give him a hand. Thank you very much, sir. So, I want you to try this. Let me help you another step. Would it be useful instead of you saying, well, none of you are inside here trying to search around going, what does this emotion mean? I don't know what it means. Let me give you 9 emotions and what they usually mean. Okay, would that be helpful? Great, sit up in your chair with some energy then. Put yourself in a peak state. And let's take a look at what 9 of these emotions, or 8 or 7 or whatever I put up here are. Number 1, fear. So if you're feeling fear, what does that mean usually? What's the message? The message always is that you need to change something. Is that true, yes or no? So every negative emotion means I've got to what? I've got to what? Change something. Either my perception or what I'm doing. Fear means that you got to prepare for something. You're afraid because your brain's saying message is prepare. Change what you're doing and get more prepared. Prepare for something that's going to happen so you're better prepared for it physically. Now sometimes we just indulge in the emotion and we stay in the fear and we really aren't prepared. For example, let's say you're going to get up to speak in front of a group and you're prepared, but you still have fear. It's because you got the message, you did the work, but you didn't shut the emotion off and say, you know, I am prepared. No reason to be afraid anymore. I'm ready. I'm ready. You never told your brain, it's okay. You don't have to give me the message anymore. I've done my work. Okay? So it's saying you need to prepare for something. Maybe it's a physical challenge. Maybe it's preparing for some loss that may be coming up. Something's about to come up and you need to be prepared for it. Okay? Just get prepared. But once you get prepared, get off it. Let your brain know, okay, I am prepared. Move on. Focus on what you want now. What's hurt? Hurt usually is telling you an expectation you had has not been met. Just telling you, hey, you have this expectation, it's not met. So what should you do when you have an expectation that's not met? You should focus on what you do want now. Write down your notes. Focus on what you do want now. Don't keep focusing on why you're disappointed, or how somebody disappointed you, or how you feel so hurt by them. Okay? An expectation wasn't met and you need to change your approach. Focus on it. Or it means you need to change your communication. Hurt means you expected someone to treat you a certain way and they didn't treat you that way. So you need to change your communication. You need to come to them and say, you know, I need your help. You know, when you communicate that way, in the past I've interpreted that to mean you didn't care. I know you care because I know how much you love me and I love you. But you know, could you help me out this way? What does it really mean to you when you do that? And then listen. Say, you know, in the future, I really appreciate it if you do it this way instead. Would that work for you? Would you be willing to do that? Okay, great. Fantastic. It's a message that says you got to communicate your needs better if you're feeling hurt. Hurt means I need to communicate my needs better. Or hurt also means I need to meet someone else's needs. So you feel hurt because you didn't meet their needs. That's why they didn't meet yours. Either you're not meeting their needs or you're not communicating how to have your needs be met. Or you have an expectation, you need to move on. This is not going to work out, so focus on what will. Third, anger. Anger is a message that says you have a major rule that's been violated. When you're angry, you have a rule that's been violated. We all have rules about how things must be and how they should be. And boy, some rules, if somebody violates some of our rules, man, we really get angry, don't we? By the way, you may also be angry because you violated your own rules. Is that true? Yeah, you're not doing what you believe you must do, and you get angry with yourself. Sometimes we get angry with ourselves, we spread that out towards somebody else, find somebody to lay blame on. 4, frustration. Frustration is a message that what you're doing isn't working, and that you need to what? Change. If you're frustrated, it means you still can succeed, but you got to change. You're frustrated, it says, God, something's here and you know you could succeed, and you're frustrated because what you're doing isn't working. Change and you can still get what you want. Flex. Disappointment. Disappointment's a message, again, that you expected something to happen, it's not going to. So immediately focus on what you want now. Focus on what you want now. It's a message that you have to get off it. You need to let go of something and move on and focus on what you want now. Guilt. Guilt is a powerful emotion if it's not abused and overused and indulged in. Any of these emotions are lousy if you indulge in them. Would you agree with me on that? Sit there and indulge in your fear and your hurt and your anger. Indulging means you keep focusing on the feeling instead of getting the message and moving on and learning. Guilt, though, can be valuable. It's telling you you have violated one of your own standards, and you need to do something immediately to be certain you won't do this again. You're having that pain of guilt because your brain is saying you just violated one of your most important standards of your life. You violated one of your own values. And you're going to keep getting this pain until you make yourself certain you're not going to do this again. You know what some people do? They just keep going back and feeling guilty about what they did in the past. The message is saying, get clear you broke your own rules and commit no matter what, you're not going to do it again. Make it clear, be certain you're not going to do it again, and your guilt will go away like that. Because that's the purpose of guilt, to make sure you don't violate your standards and make sure you do it well in the future.